Canada Soccer.
Canada's Olympic Committee CEO says the women's soccer head coach was likely aware drones were used to spy on New Zealand's practices in France. That's David Shoemaker at Canada Olympic House after Canada Soccer suspended Bev Priestman, resulting in her removal from the Paris Games.
The report started with manager Bev Priestman.
And again, I would just like to apologise to our country, but also to New Zealand.
She would remove herself from the opening match, then be suspended from the Olympics entirely. Canada are the reigning, defending gold medalists.
New reporting by TSN says Canada's men's and women's soccer teams have relied on drones to spy on rival teams for years.
Then it snowballed into damning allegations.
I talked with sources who told me that, that the men's team has used a drone to spy on the American team before, as long ago as 2019, before a game in November 2019 in Florida. And then, even more troubling, perhaps, in 2021 during the Olympics in Tokyo.
Let me just say, if Rick Westhead is reporting on you, you are in serious trouble.
I was told by a source that one of the coaches on Team Canada went to 2 different Japanese training sessions that were closed to the public and recorded those in advance of Canada's game against Japan. Canada played Japan in the first game of those Olympics. It was a 1-1 tie, and Canada went on to win the gold medal. I'm told that this kind of spying just continued in the months and years ahead. And in fact, both staff and contractors to Canada Soccer were involved in it and often felt pressured to do this.
So what began with Bev Priestman turned into Canada Soccer, per the reporting, using tactics to get an edge on their opponents in illegal ways.
Now, Canada Soccer says an independent external review will look into the drone incidents in France, plus what it calls its historical culture of competitive ethics.
Canada Soccer is a little bit of a laughingstock right now in the global community of soccer.
Starting with Priestman, FIFA gave her a 1-year suspension. Then they deducted 6 points from Team Canada's group stage total. A fine was also issued to the Canadian Federation. They would appeal, and it would be very unsuccessful. It all began, as we covered prior to the Olympics, with a drone being spotted overhead of Team New Zealand's practice. Joseph Lombardi, described as an uncredited analyst working for Canada Soccer, along with assistant coach Jasmine Mender, would be sent home for their participation. Media members in Canada quickly reminded the masses that in Toronto, when Honduras was set to play against Team Canada, they would halt a training session because they too spotted a drone over their practice above the pitch. That's per the Honduran media. It occurred in 2021. They would play to a draw.
I'm aware of an instance of attempted drone usage during Copa America.
Kevin Blue, the CEO and General Secretary of Canada Soccer, then told us of this revelation at the Copa America competition. They would have a great run, by the way, would Canada in the tournament. They'd lose in the semis to the champions, Argentina. It was a fantastic run. Important to note, in this instance, manager Jesse Marsh was made aware after the fact, per Blue, and the skipper denounced its use entirely.
Canada Soccer now describes the spying as systemic.
Make no mistake, there's absolutely no room for this kind of conduct.
But how was it systemic? Shockingly, FIFA would publish evidence showing Bev Priestman and Toronto FC manager John Herdman being at the heart of the scandal. Herdman formerly managed the women's team before going on to Toronto FC. Via CBS Sports, this is huge, an analyst for Canada Soccer reportedly emailed the manager of the women's team, Bev Priestman, and refused to spy on opponents 4 months ago, with the tactician emailing a human resources consultant for advice. Seeking your advice and input here regarding this formal email on spying. Read the communication via TSN, who employs the likes of Rick Westhead. It'd go on to read, it's something the analyst has always done, and I know there is a whole operation on the men's side with regards to it. It can be the difference between winning and losing, and all top 10 teams do it. Let's pause here. If all top 10 teams do it, expose them. It shouldn't be if you're not cheating, you're not trying. The one thing that we wish to have in sports is integrity amongst the competitors. If they are claiming this, and it is true, it needs to be riddled out. But I will say, at this juncture, because we only have one team, all eyes are on Team Canada. All eyes are on Bev Priestman. All eyes are on the Canadian Soccer Federation. Because it is just a bad look. It's a bad look. For this to happen on the men's side and on the women's side, it is quite literally the word they used. Systemic. An analyst would write to Priestman, in terms of the spying conversation, I came off the meeting with clarity that you understood my reasons for me being unwilling to do this moving forward. Huge allegations.
Longtime captain Christine Sinclair insists we were never shown or discussed drone footage in team or individual meetings I've been present for.
So look, many of the players are going to weigh in now, and they are going to say, I was never a part of this, or I had nothing to do with this. Why should I be penalized? There has to be some penalty somewhere. You can't just fine a federation and believe that they will learn from it. Because if the past results ring true and continue to be cemented in history, then where will the punishment happen? I believe in those who were the central focus of these allegations to have consequences. There should be consequences for their actions, including, per the reporting, Bev Priestman and some others. My question is, because I understand it's a slippery slope, but like Sinclair saying, I never did this, I was never a part of this. And then there are former Team Canada players that are also saying, I don't know how or why this should affect me. I had no part of this. And I do understand that. But when the allegations come out years later, what exactly is a governing body? And I have plenty of criticisms for FIFA and the IOC and many others. But what is the correct punishment here? Docking them 6 points did feel harsh. And unless the Canadian Soccer Federation knew about these allegations previously with Priestman, they kept her there. And they kept employing her. It's always said in sports that a head coach or a manager is the CEO of the team, right? From a day in, day out standpoint. Obviously, GMs hold a different sort of authority, and an actual team CEO holds a different sort of authority. But coaches and managers are team CEOs. And she was still the head of this team until these allegations came out, and she has been suspended for a year. Again, it's a slippery slope, and it's square peg round holing, because there has to be some form of punishment, and yet the players who are participating now will throw their hands up and say, why are you penalizing us? So what I would say to that very quickly is a quick bullet point. You guys might not be benefiting from it. You may not be in those meetings. You may not even be conversing with those coaches. But what I will say is the coaches are influenced by said cheating allegations in how they approach a match and how they coach you, which could then influence where you are placed, because they know what sort of play a team is going to run at one point at a certain location on the pitch, or what sort of set piece they're going to run at a certain location on the pitch. And they're going to put you in the correct spot because they already know what's happening. It is quite literally an unfair advantage. So look, I don't have the answer. What I will say is there needs to be serious repercussions. Right now, we are in motion. I believe more are coming. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.